beautiful friends, welcome to Soil Sazón. My name is Josefina and this morning we are in my kitchen so I can show you how to make the easiest breakfast using just tortillas and eggs. Alright, so to start this meal, I need to make some tortillas, and on top of that, I really want salsa with this, so I'm gonna make a salsa verde. I will link down in the description box my recipe video for how to make salsa verde. I'm just gonna do the boiled version with this one. I'm gonna go ahead and get started on the salsa, and then I'm going to make the tortillas. If you already have some store-bought tortillas, that's great, it's totally okay. I also have a video on differentiating the different types of tortillas and what you can do with them. I'll link that down in the description box too. It's a Tortilla 101 video. For this one, you can use the frying tortillas that you get at like regular grocery stores. I don't recommend using flour tortillas for this. If you use flour tortillas, I feel like those absorb a whole lot more oil. It doesn't give the same like taste that the corn tortilla gives to this. So stick with corn, even if you don't like corn tortillas. This could be one way that you learn that you enjoy them. So I'm gonna grab the ingredients that I need to make this salsa. Now that I've got that water going for my salsa, I just wanted to share a quick tip with you guys. For salsas, freezing your tomatillos and tomatoes is such a great way to go about preserving them, because you can either just set them out to defrost and then throw them into the oven to roast, and they'll roast up really quickly. It will let out a lot of juice, but if you use something like the Silpat mats, or if you use the line it with foil, you'll be able to carry those juices into the container so that you can blend it up. Or you can do what I'm about to do, and that's just putting these straight into the water, because these are frozen and I kind of want them to soften up with the water as it gets to temperature to boil. I want to go ahead and put those in now, because if I put them in while the water's boiling and these are frozen, it's just going to cause them to quickly fall apart, and I don't want that. It's a pound of those tomatillos, and I'm also going to add in 1 serrano. And because I don't have onions that I just keep in the pantry right now, let's head out to the garden to go grab one. So I moved the chickens yesterday. Well, my family and I moved the chickens yesterday, and I don't know what it is about chickens being next to the garden that just, I don't know, it just feels right. I love it so much, but I do worry, like moments like this where the gate accidentally split open, that I'm gonna have a chicken escape and then I'm gonna have somebody sabotaging my garden. Excuse me, ladies. I gotta close this, and then I just need to make sure I turn it on before I walk away from them. Back to the onions, which is over here in this chaotic bed of mine. Oh, that's a little one. It's just a little baby. Weeds everywhere. But I am not going to clean this bed out until I've harvested every last onion. So there's some scraggly ones in there. There's one there. There's some in that bag. It's a little bit of a mess, but it is what it is. And I can't wait until the tomatillos that I'm making my salsas with are the ones that I harvest off of these plants. I have some all over the place, some tomatillos there. There's 3 there. There's 1 there. This is my whole tomato row. And then 1 there. So let's head inside with this little onion. I'm just gonna cut off 1/4 of it. So I've got 2 cloves of garlic, and I'm just putting that straight into the blender cup with the onion, because the heat from this is gonna cook them just enough that it's going to mellow out their flavor. If I stuck it in here, they'd kind of get watery and bland flavored, and you wouldn't really get the same taste as you would if you put them in this way. And I'm gonna get to work on some tortillas. What? Look at me, guys. All kinds of nifty. I got myself a new little device. And now that this has come up to a boil, and you can see that they've changed color. On the screen, they're more yellow, but like in person, they've got more of like an olivey yellow color to them. You know they're ready at that point. So I'm gonna leave them alone to just cool for a minute while I get started on the masa. So if you want a step-by-step on how I make my tortillas, I've got a whole video for that, and I can post that up too. The only thing this is missing is cilantro. I don't like to add it when it's hot like this because it just changes the flavor of the cilantro for me. So I'm gonna let this sit off to the side and cool, and I'll add the cilantro later towards the end when I'm ready to eat. In the meantime, look at it. This is like lava right now. You can see the steam coming off of it. Tortilla hands. This is why we don't put the onion and the garlic inside while everything's boiling, because this has literally cooked it to perfection. Normally I'm all about keeping my tortilla warmer closed so that they stay nice and hot, but because I actually want these to kind of cool down for me because they're going to go through a pan frying process, I need those to cool off enough so that all of that extra moisture just kind of dries off on it. Since I have one that's a little bit on the busted side, see, I got messed up. I know I've said it, but seriously, if you haven't tried Hacienda, you've got to try it. Anyways, I was gonna add butter to this because that's a snack I loved as a kid. It's a snack my kids love now when you're making fresh tortillas, to just go and add a little bit of butter inside. But right now, this is just so good all by itself. If you don't like eating corn tortillas because the flavor is just not that great to you, you need to try making them with like some legit masarina, like Hacienda. That's how it's spelled, so you can look it up. I'll link them down in the description box. It is so good. You will completely change your mind on how you feel about corn tortillas. Anyways, back to what I was doing. Now that I have just enough tortillas for me, because I dropped my kids off today at their homeschool field day event, I'm gonna move on to making the actual dish. So now we're really getting into it. So first things first, I'm gonna get a nice little pan. So I'm gonna flip my stack over so that the oldest ones are up at the top. And I normally do 2 tortillas per person. You can do 3. You can either just tear them up by hand or you can cut them. I used to do triangles, but I actually find that I now prefer to cut them into like little squares. So I'll cut it in half, and then I just like to fold them on top of each other, and then I'll cut that in half, and then I'll make little squares out of it. And then just separate them. And now you've got these delicious little tortilla squares. Okay, so to this you want to add some kind of high temperature oil, so a frying type oil. I'm gonna use avocado oil. If you use something like olive oil, your olive oil is 100% gonna end up burning on you and it's gonna leave a not so great flavor on it. So you can use something like grapeseed oil, canola oil, vegetable oil, peanut oil, avocado oil. Just make sure that it has a high smoke point. You want to make sure that the oil is nice and hot before you do anything, because if you don't, you're going to end up with really mushy tortillas. I'm going to add these in and I'm going to try to do it in a layer. Okay, now that they're in, do not touch them. We're going to leave them alone. I'm going to check, I'm looking at the time on my phone here, and we're going to leave those alone. And we'll probably, like in another minute or two, that's when I'm gonna do a flip. If you put them in the oil and then immediately go to toss them around, those layers that are in the tortilla are gonna end up separating and that tortilla will fall apart. So give it time to crisp up and create kind of like a little outer shell on it, and then we can start tossing them around. All right, and now it's officially been a minute. I currently have it on a medium heat. This is a cast iron pan, so cast irons do get a little bit hotter. So if you're just using a regular pan, watch the heat. I would say maybe do like a medium kind of high heat, not all the way to high, because you don't want these to burn. They will burn very quickly. Those are almost done. It's literally only been 2 minutes so far, and those are about to be finished. You're gonna wanna stay with these. Don't walk away from them, because I have made that mistake of walking away from my tortillas in oil before, and then I just end up with a burnt mess. So real quick, I'm just chopping my cilantro that I wanna add into that salsa, because this is about to be done. All right, those are officially ready. I'm gonna bring you guys in closer. I'm going to take some eggs and start cracking them in. So at this point, you wanna turn it down to like medium low, because you don't want those eggs to burn. I'm going to have mine with 3 eggs. I usually do 3 eggs for 2 tortillas. Gonna season it with some salt now and give them a toss. All right, I've cut the heat. You're gonna cook the eggs to your liking. Even with that little silicone, it is still so hot. And there it is, that simple. This took 5 minutes. From the time that I put the tortillas into the pan to cook and did the rest of it, this is a 5-minute meal. Now that I got the eggs done, I've added in my minced cilantro to the salsa, and now I'm just gonna give it a good stir. Green salsas are my favorite. I love a red salsa, but if I'm always given an option and I have to pick one, it's gonna be the green one. Look at it. So to my plate, I'm just going to drizzle this right on. Guys, this breakfast is one of my most favorites. If you don't have salsa, let me tell you, putting ketchup and Valentina on this, so good. I don't care who's gonna say what about ketchup. I know plenty of Mexicans that love to eat this with ketchup and Valentina. It's just so good together, but with a fresh salsa on top, my mouth is watering just from smelling this. I don't know if you guys can hear through the camera the crunchiness of these tortillas with that softness from the eggs. Hold on, hold on, hold on. It's just magic together. Such a simple breakfast. Literally took 5 minutes. unless you're gonna be like me and forget that you need tortillas ahead of time and you gotta make it. But even then, that took me like what, 30 minutes? And that's just because I had to make a salsa and make tortillas. And then 5 minutes for this. This right here is a meal that you can have for lunch. You can have it for dinner. We have it for dinner all the time. Sometimes we add some cut up weenies into it, and then it's just tortilla with huevo and weenie. It's so good. Add chorizo into this. You can have a side of refried beans with it. You can literally make this into a billion different things. But just like this, nice and simple. Eggs and tortillas. That is it for today's nice and simple video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, I hope that you will hit that subscribe button. Stick around with me on my journey to becoming a homesteader and teaching you how to make Mexican food from scratch. I'll see you in the next one.